Nightly greetings, one and all. William Theo here, homegrown and happy to bring you PTV News Now. This evening's big story: it may be rusting, crumbling, and the biggest eyesore without a doubt in regional maritime affairs. But the BRP Sierra Madre has been the biggest bane of a formidable Chinese incursion and takeover of Philippine maritime territories in the West Philippine Sea. And the Philippine government has a measure in mind and in place should the Chinese Coast Guard, PLA, and militia decide to lay and claim on the Ayungin Shoal and commandeer the country's outpost and bastion of sovereignty in Ayungin Shoal. So says Philippine Navy spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Rear Admiral Roy Vincent Trinidad, on the country's response on a potential Chinese Navy or Chinese Coast Guard commandeering of the BRP Sierra Madre in a press briefing in Camp Aguinaldo of late. Meanwhile, in a recent face-off with CBS News 60 Minutes, Philippine Secretary of Defense Gilberto Teodoro dwelt on a potential commandeering of the BRP Sierra Madre by Chinese naval forces and made crystal clear the country's intention to seek direct U.S. intervention when that time comes. Bottom line, Teodoro said their online bullying will someday stop should the Philippines' allies come to the country's aid and provide safety and protection to the country's security patrols and guardians of the nation's sovereignty. Meanwhile, POTUS Joe Biden has little in common with his political nemesis Donald Trump. And yet one of Biden's economic policies is the prolongation or retention of America's tariff policies on certain Chinese products. A plan of action Kamala Harris could possibly retain should she take over the White House in late January next year. VOA's Elizabeth Lee shares how such policy retention could hurt U.S. consumers harder in this report.
This $6 made-in-China bike bell could cost $9.60 if additional tariffs proposed by Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump becomes reality.
We're doing tariffs on other countries. Other countries are going to finally, after 75 years, pay us back for all that we've done for the world. And the tariff will be substantial in some cases.
Meaning Chinese-made products will be hit with as much as a 60% tariff under Trump's plan. He also says he will implement blanket tariffs of up to 20% on all other countries. Both Trump and the Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris say they want to bring jobs back to the U.S.
A policy about China should be in making sure the United States of America wins the competition for the 21st century.
The Biden administration kept most of the import taxes put in place during Trump's presidency. In May, Biden announced further tariff increases on $18 billion worth of Chinese imports, including a 100% import tax on Chinese electric vehicles. The Biden administration says its tariffs are more strategic, aimed at specific industries, and that Trump's import tax takes on a broader approach that will cost a middle-class American household $4,000 more a year. Other estimates are in the range of around $2,000. Trump says consumers won't be impacted.
Who's going to have higher prices is China and all of the countries that have been ripping us off for years.
But Chinese businesses are not the ones paying the import taxes, explains supply chain expert Christopher Tang.
During the election years, everyone is promising the moon. But the truth of the matter is that the import tariffs are paid by the U.S. firms.
So for an imported Chinese-made TV purchased at Costco, it's Costco that pays the import tax.
When companies is facing high import tariffs, there are two buttons to push. One is pass the high import costs to the consumers. The other one is squeeze the Chinese factories to lower the price.
Tang says the risk of pushing Chinese companies to lower the price is poor product quality. Import taxes may mean fewer made-in-China labels printed, but that doesn't mean that there are fewer imports coming from China. They'll just have a label from a different country, says Tang.
China actually ship a lot of components and parts to Vietnam, to India for final assembly. And those end products actually is still importing into the US as well. So therefore, the total effect on China, they still actually export more, but they're not exporting to US directly.
The World Trade Organization finds tariffs disproportionately affect low-income households, which means a $9.60 bike bell may be out of reach for some consumers if a 60% import tax is slapped on to Chinese-made products. Elizabeth Lee, VOA News, Washington.
And at this moment, let's turn to PTV's Baguio City studios and my colleague Audrey Villena for what's hot and happening in the Cordilleras. Audrey?
Ngayon BRP Pilipinas, ang manarimaan ti panangsukimat ti lokal a gobyerno ti Baguio City ti compliance dagiti telecommunication company iti syudad saknan iti panagtungpalda iti ultimatum a panagsimpa kadagiti nakauy-uy a kable kadagiti pagnaan ken kalsada. Iti kanito ang napintas ti compliance dagiti telco aging September 25, posible ang mailaylayon ti pawayway kadakwada. No sana nagtunggal dagiti telco, putdon ti lokal a gobyerno ti anyaman a kable, asal ang natarimaan wino na isimpa. Idilang September 4, nangipaay ni Baguio City Mayor Benjamin Magalong, iti talo alawas a pawayway dagiti public utility firms tapno isimpada dagiti kableda ang nakauy-uy. Nagramot daytoy kadagiti adu a reklamo dagiti umili ken rason iti aksidente kadagiti motorista.
We might extend this, no? Binibigyan lang naman ng ultimatum ni Mayor kasi kailangan na talagang maayos ang ating mga spaghetti wires. You know, we saw or we can understand na mas mabilis na palitan nila or mag-install sila ng bago rather than hanapin yung may problema.
Iti dadumapay adamag talo nga empleyado ti gobyerno iti Cordillera iti nairaman kas Dangal ng Bayan Awardees 2024 ken pinarayawan ni President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. iti Malacañang Palas itanga aldaw. Karaman iti nabigbig ni Ray Maximanio Kita Aquino, nursing attendant to iti Baguio General Hospital and Medical Center, kas may sa reliable nursing attendant, handyman ken health advocate iti ospital. Dangal ng Bayan Awardee matlaang ni Dr. Jimmy Bilod, Medical Specialist 3 iti Baguio General Hospital and Medical Center, gapo iti pananglukat na iti colonoscopy unit iti BJHMC, ang nagbalingkas leading referral center dagiti ospital iti Northern Luzon. Kabayatan na, napadayawan matlang ni Florentino de la Cruz Jr., Administrative Aid 3 wenno utility worker iti Baguio City Library, ti Baguio City LGU, gapo iti kinasagana na nga agserbikan mangipaay iti napintas a customer experience iti City Library. Nakaawat damot iti trophy, gold gilded medallion nga inaramid ti BSP, ken 200,000 pesos cash. Agnumarda pa iti automatic promotion iti sumarunuan na nga opposition wenno automatic salary increase. Dagiti damdamag manipud iti PTV Cordillera, siya ni Audrey Villena na Imbag-Arabi.
Thank you, Audrey, and that's a wrap for tonight. Join us again tomorrow evening for yet another set of major news events here and abroad, breaking late. And make it a habit to stay connected by catching the news right here. William Theo wishing you all a restful evening, and thank you for watching PTV News Now.